First, we had Castlevania Netflix. In my opinion, one of the greatest video game adaptations of all time. And now we're getting a Devil May Cry Netflix series. Wow. I did not see that coming at all, but it's very welcome. And I've said this plenty of times before, and I think I even said it during my Castlevania Season 2 review, but if Castlevania did well, that would open the floodgates for more video game adaptations. So far, Castlevania's been doing great. They greenlit Season 3 before the Season 2 release date even came out. What an awesome time to be a gamer right now. Video game adaptations are coming left and right. I mean, Nintendo greenlit Hollywood to make a freaking Detective Pikachu movie, when Nintendo hasn't wanted to do anything with Hollywood since the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So that alone is a miracle. Mega Man's getting a live action movie. I don't know how well that's going to work, but hey, it's coming. But I think we are getting to this point slowly where video games are starting to be treated with respect to the source material instead of doing all these crazy made-up things from times past. Although I want to say there is a Monster Hunter movie coming out too that I don't know if that really falls in that category. That looks like they're doing some weird military thing with some dimensional portal or something. I don't know. I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan. I've actually never played any of the games, but I am familiar with it. And just from the reactions I've seen from the Monster Hunter community, it's not really taking the source material too much into account. Like I said, hopefully we're moving slowly away from those times when these franchises are just getting torn apart and turned into this weird Hollywood thing. Anyways, back on topic, Devil May Cry. Adi Shankar, the executive producer of the Castlevania series, confirmed that he acquired the rights to a Devil May Cry series to keep the jabronis in Hollywood from fucking it up. I love that reaction. Personally, I'm incredibly excited about this news. You've been following this channel for a short little while. You may not know that I'm an enormous Devil May Cry fan. I mean, just as much as like Castlevania, Mega Man, Assassin's Creed, all that stuff. It's one of those franchises that I've been with since the very beginning, since Devil May Cry 1, and just fell in love with. I mean, Devil May Cry 3 was my favorite game of all time for a while. So now the fact that that's turning into a Netflix series, assumingly in the same style as the Castlevania one, I am 100% down for this. Unfortunately, we don't have any news on what it's going to be about. Is it going to be an original story? Is it going to be based off the video games? At this point, they just have the rights. No actual work on the show has started yet. I would like to see them make adaptations of the stories in the actual games and also create new stories just for the series. I think that'd be a really cool way to push the series forward, because Devil May Cry, it's not as long lasting as Castlevania. Castlevania, it's got 1,000 years worth of storytelling. I mean, there's so many sequels, so many games, whereas Devil May Cry has nowhere near the amount of story content. And if you're wondering what it would look like if they made original Devil May Cry content versus just adapting the storyline of the games, you can find that right here. The Devil May Cry anime series. This was an anime series. Let me see when this aired. I'm not even sure what year this aired, but the episodes were mostly hit or miss. But overall, it was a pretty good series. Some episodes were okay, some were crappy, some were awesome. So I already kind of have an idea of what an anime series for Devil May Cry will look like. But I have had some of you ask me if I think the new Netflix series is going to be a continuation of that one, and it's not. There's no way. I can't imagine a scenario where it would be. The anime series was made by a completely different company, completely different creative team. I can almost guarantee the Netflix team is going to do their own thing. And I think that's a better option, because that way they don't have these storytelling strings tied to something else that they had nothing to do with. I've also had some of you express some concern to me that based on Trevor's personality in Castlevania, how he's they made him like a foul-mouthed drunkard, that they're going to completely change Dante's personality and ruin it now. And I don't think you have anything to worry about when it comes to that, because if you compare the two, keep in mind, Dante has a very established personality. He's this cocky, funny dude that's also a badass, so he's kind of like a white blade with a sense of humor. On the other hand, Trevor in the Castlevania games, there's no personality really they had to work with. He was just some 8-bit sprite, and the other appearances he had were just really brief, where he had no development whatsoever. Curse of Darkness, Trevor was in that game, and he just pops up every once in a while. Kind of a flat personality. And Castlevania Judgment, it's a fighting game, so you have his little intros and outros. That's about it. So with the Netflix series, they had nothing to work with. They had to create his personality from the ground up for the story they were telling. They don't need to worry about that with Dante. He's got his established personality, so I don't think that's something you should worry about. I think it's in the right hands here. And one thing I find really awkward, I'm seeing a lot of sites reporting that Devil May Cry and Castlevania are crossing over, and I think that's completely wrong. I don't think that's happening at all. All of that is coming from a quote that Adi Shankar said, which says, Devil May Cry will join Castlevania in what we're now calling the bootleg multiverse. I don't think he literally meant that it's going to be like a big multiverse, like comic book style, where comic books have a big multiverse for characters from different dimensions and whatnot, and their stories keep crossing over into each other. I don't think he meant that in that way. To me, it was just a fun way for the animation studio to kind of describe all these different franchises under their belt and under their control. Personally, I feel that if you're expecting Trevor and Dante to one day be fighting side by side against demons and vampires, I think you're going to be a bit disappointed. I do have one concern with the Devil May Cry series, though, and I guess not just the Devil May Cry series, but any upcoming future projects they're working on. They've been incredibly successful so far, and I hope this success doesn't get to their head. I don't want them to stretch themselves thin, because it feels like now they're in a phase where they're just picking up a ton of projects because they did well with Castlevania, and I don't want it to be a quantity versus quality thing. I'd rather have less properties and they take their time developing each one than just picking up a ton of names. Because they've already done Castlevania. They're working on Castlevania Season 3. We now have confirmation of Devil May Cry. Ubisoft reached out to them last year for Assassin's Creed. That's coming. And there's even rumors still that they're in talks to do Zelda, which I think that was actually Devil May Cry that they were referring to. I don't think it was ever going to be Zelda, but that's still a rumor, so we'll put that in the bucket. But if that happens, I mean, that's a lot of projects that he's in charge of. So by all means, if they could juggle all these different properties and make awesome shows out of it, kudos. But when you have too much on your plate, you can easily start losing quality. And another thing, please have Devil May Cry Season 1 start with more than 4 episodes. I understand why Castlevania started with 4. Clearly that was a test season to see if there was interest. By this point, they've proven themselves. They know how to handle a quality animated series based on a video game. You don't need to prove yourselves. Just do a full season and show us what you have. We don't need a test season. But I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Are you excited about the series too? Are there any specific Devil May Cry stories you would like adapted? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button with all of your strength. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on social media or go into my community tab for updates. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the channel directly on Patreon. This is Fabian. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.